Yo, it's Elliot with Yo Elliot. You got strength questions, and I've got your answer.
Yo, Elliot.
Today we've got a great question from this young German fella who would like to build a stronger tribe of stronger friends. Check him out.
Yo Elliot, this is Joey from Germany. I've been bodybuilding for 2 years now. People say I'm pretty dedicated, maybe even too much. My goals are becoming a personal trainer. I want to start my own business and my own online business, and my own gym. One of the problems I have is that many successful people, and you too, I think, always talk about surrounding yourself with successful people, or people that let you grow and that are growing with you and go in your direction, right? So the problem is, most of my friends are the exact opposite. But that's because I'm not now what I'm now is not what I'm used to be, and I have still friends from my past. And the problem is, how do I find people that I need to grow, that I need to become successful? What traits do I have to look for? What traits are dangerous in those people? And then the thing is, most of my friends either don't do anything, so like they play computer games all day, or they get drunk on weekends, and and I don't know, shit around, yeah. So please help me. Yeah. Thanks. Greetings from Germany. Great videos you got there. Especially like the water and fire thing, the yin and yang. Really helped me a lot. So, thanks.
Alright buddy, the very first thing I want to do is thank you for sending me your video question. Thank you for watching my channel. And I want to acknowledge you for stepping outside the bounds of comfort and looking to surround yourself with people that are like-minded and harbor the same values. That's great. Now, let's get right into it, and I want to tackle this in a very unique way today. First thing I want to do is I want to bring your attention to two ideas about friendship or love or relationships that are complete lies. Things that we take for granted and in my experience are not true. The very first one is, and I even mentioned it earlier, that you surround yourself with people. Now we've heard this all the time, that if you want to be successful, you surround yourself with successful people. You want to be healthy, you surround yourself with healthy people. You want to be strong, you surround yourself with stronger people. Well, I'm going to go out there and say that that is not entirely true. It's more how people are surrounding you than you surrounding yourself with them. What I mean by that is that the people that are attracted to you really emanate, they come from your soul's expression, and they are brought into your life due to a number of things, a deep longing that we all have for relationship with other. But the other thing, which we have complete control over, is our dominant thoughts and emotions, the things that we really care about. And if they match up with people in our environment or throughout the world, they will be attracted to you. In the Luck Factor DVD or CD course by Brian Tracy, he mentions the law and he describes it as you will inevitably attract the people, places, circumstances, ideas, resources into your life that are in harmony with your most dominant thoughts. Some people call that the law of attraction. I call it you get what you think about. Now, to further take my point home and to really just drive this idea that we are bringing people into our lives through our thoughts and our behaviors and the things that we think about and the things in our soul's expression, I want to refer to this book by Ralph Waldo Emerson, which is probably my greatest resource in my library. And I always go to Emerson for wisdom. And I think relationships and friends and building a tribe and love is one of those things where we need to seek wisdom because it doesn't come naturally to us. And we're living in a time and a place in a world where there's a lot of fake bullshit that we kind of try to pawn off as friendship. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. Now, the very first thing I want to talk about is how we attract friends into our life. And I'm actually going to quote and I'm going to read from this book. I hopefully won't bore the crap out of you guys today. But I just think this is so important. I want to help you with this. This is what Emerson says in his essay, Friendship, which you might want to check out. Check out Amazon and get this book. Emerson says, "My friends have come to me unsought. The great God gave them to me. By oldest right, by the divine affinity of virtue with itself, I find them, or rather not I, but the deity within me." Essentially, the spirit, the God, the universe, nature, whatever you want to call it, within you draws people into your life. You don't go looking for them. They're drawn to you. Quick story with regard to that. When I first moved to Florida, I knew no one. And after quitting my job at a fitness club, I not only didn't have anybody to work with, not only did I not know anyone, I had no friends and I didn't have anybody to work with, I was completely alone and starting a business on my own. I remember coming home to my wife almost on a daily basis. So ad nauseum, I would describe to her how I wish I had a friend. And I would envision, I didn't know what I was doing, but I would think about the perfect person that I could share what I was doing with. Because as an entrepreneur, if anybody out there is an entrepreneur, you know that it's very lonely. You've got these goals that even when achieved, there's no one there to clap with you. There's no award at the end. You're just plugging away, working hard on your own, by yourself. There's no one to share anything with. That plus strength training. And I was fortunate enough to meet a friend by the name of Mike Westerdahl. Many of you guys know it. Mike is a powerlifter. I was a strength athlete. Mike was an ex-football player. We actually played against each other. Mike has a publishing business online. So did I, and we were building it together now that we're friends. And Mike had moved from Connecticut to Florida shortly after I sent my prayers into the atmosphere for someone to share my life with. And he was able to fill us a place that was a deep longing within me. And we now share much of our life together as friends. Now, that's a very rare situation, and most people aren't going to find that. But when your heart's desire is strong enough, and you are very clear about what you want to share with someone, that person will be brought into your life. Not bullshit acquaintances, but people who you can really share with. The next thing I want to do is move on, and again, I hope I don't bore you guys, but you described wanting to get rid of friends that are no longer serving you. Now, they're there because at some point they did serve you. At some point, you guys were on the same energetic level. You had the same thoughts, ideas, behaviors, ideas. You were the same type of person, and you were moving along pretty well together. And eventually, you evolved. They didn't. Now, this is a very tumultuous time, but if you were persistent with what I'll describe and the things that you know you need to do to keep moving forward in your own soul's progression, you're going to do just fine. And here's what Emerson says about that. He says, he asks a question, is it not that the soul puts forth friends as the tree puts forth leaves? And presently, by the germination of new buds, extrudes the old leaf. The law of nature is alteration evermore. Essentially, as your new friends make way in your life, old friends will just die. They're not necessarily go to the grave, but your attraction, their attraction to you will just completely disappear. Now, if you're way more mature than the people that you're essentially going, I'm not saying push them away, they're just going to fall away. But they're going to struggle, they're going to fight, they're going to fight you, they're going to want to challenge you, they're going to want to do everything that they can to keep you in the bondage of their selfish friendship. I say friendship, it's not really friendship, it's bondage, by giving you a hard time, calling you names and just challenging you in several different ways, really attacking you, because a part of their ego is dying. They can no longer control you. But if you're mature enough, you can basically brush that shit off. you won't even notice it. They're just going to kind of go somewhere else. Because in the same way that a tree drops its leaves to make new room for new buds and germination, as Emerson describes, your friends are going to leave as new friends make their way into your life. We'll continue, and one of the elements that Emerson describes as the most important elements, he describes two of them, but only we'll talk about one of them here so you can read the book later on, is the element of truth and sincerity in our relationships with people. And we have such a hard time being naked with ourselves that it's very, very difficult for us to be naked with other people. And especially with all of, there's so much homophobia, and it's almost weird. Like, we have to remind each other that, like, hey, I'm not gay just because I love this guy. But it's really driven a divide between men and has robbed us of a relationship, the strengthening that we receive from other men in our relationship with them, because we have to constantly remind ourselves that, oh, I'm not gay, don't worry about it. And I don't think any of that is an accident. In fact, I think a lot of it is on purpose, because if you can keep men separated, you can control them a lot easier. The minute men bond, if you've ever played a sport like football or anything like that, when men bond, we become very, very powerful. When we can bring our hearts to one another, when we can share with each other, when we would die for one another, we become way more powerful. And there are systems in play and characters in control that don't like to see that happen. So we become very scared of sharing and becoming naked with each other. And when I say naked, I'm not talking about taking your clothes off in the physical sense. I'm talking about shedding all of the ego, all of the bullshit that we bring to the table, all of our manners and our mannerisms that we bring to the table when we encounter other men. And Emerson tells a quick story here that I want to share with you about a guy who did something in the physical sense, but received the spiritual benefit by doing what he's done in here, and then having friends that like no other people could have ever had or imagined. He said, I knew a man under a certain religious frenzy cast off his drapery, and omitting all compliment and commonplace, spoke to the conscience of every man he encountered, and that with great insight and beauty. At first he was resisted. All the men agreed that he was mad, but persisting, as indeed as he could not help doing, for some time in this course he attained to the advantage of bringing every man of his acquaintance into true relationship with him. No man would think of speaking falsely of him or putting him off with any chat of markets or reading rooms, but every man was constrained by so much sincerity to the like plain dealing, and what love of nature, what poetry, what symbol of truth he had, he did certainly show them. But most of us in society show not our face and eye, but our side and our back. To stand in true relation with man in a false age is worth a fit of insanity, is it not? And even in this, he describes the typical stance that men take with one another when conversing. Our sides and our backs. I often experiment with men when I go to barbecues or sporting events or anywhere where guys are being guys, even birthday parties with my wife and daughters. And I'll talk to a man and I will purposefully stand in front of him so that we can see eyes, and eventually the conversation turns like this. And we're standing side by side having the same conversation. And I'll do weird things just because I'm a freaking weirdo. I'll do weird things like trying to get back in front of him. Now, I'm not encroaching by standing very close, but just enough so that we can see each other. And we're so uncomfortable at such an unconscious level that, as Emerson describes, we cannot even stand eye to eye, but side to side. It's sick, it's sad, it's depressing, but it's true. And this is why we have such a hard time making friends. We're never sincere with one another. And finally, the very last part that I want to share with you and that I described earlier on is that friendship and love is not really ours. We've become so egotistical and self-centered to believe that I am in love. This is my love. You are my partner. You are my friend. We're friends. When it goes way beyond that, because the expression of the virtue of love or friendship is of higher importance to God or the universe or the world or whatever you want to call it than the two people that are playing it out. So if you can imagine that there are the two people and there's the entity of love that's being built between them. What's more important aren't the two people, but the entity that's being built, the virtue that's being expressed and given, that's emanating from the relationship between the two of them. And this is what Emerson says about it. The essence of friendship is entirety. The essence of friendship is entirety. A total magnanimity and trust. It must not surmise or provide for infirmity. It's not there to help us. Its object, it treats its object as a god, that it may defy both. Basically, it treats itself. It is itself a god. It is, love and friendship is itself what is the power, what is the most important thing. And it defies both people that are involved in it. So I hope you guys don't mind me ranting and giving you a little bit of my poetry and poetic insight with regard to a very, very, very important question. And I wish you the absolute best in shedding those who no longer support the stronger version of yourself that you're looking to become. And as you wait patiently so that the buds of true expression of love and friendship can emanate from you. You're not going to find your friends. In fact, if you go and try to make friends and you go and try to build friendships, you're going to destroy the entire plan. Know who you want to drag into your life. Become that type of person and let that person come out of your soul's expression. They'll be attracted to you. Just be aware enough to see them when they get there. All the best, my friend, and thank you for sending the question. Thank you guys for sending me your video questions. This one was a little bit different. Still about strength, because if you don't have a strong tribe, you're a weak motherfucker. Talk to you next time. Yo, Elliot.